All right, hello, listeners. Me and Ted are back for another podcast. So we're going to be doing it on Peru. We're going to be talking a little bit about David Icke, and we've got a couple of questions from listeners as well. What do you want to start with first? You want to start with Peru, Ted? Oh no,
Well,
we were going to start with a video that a listener sent us.
it doesn't matter. I really, I'm ready to go on any of those
Yeah.
topics.
All right, here. Look, let's start with Peru first, okay?
Okay.
So at the moment, we've all heard this. It's all over Reddit. It's been in some news media. There's a village in Peru under attack by miners on jetpacks. At least that's the official story. But I think that's interesting itself because the authorities admit that there's something weird going on and trying to fit what people are saying. They've come up with that miners on jetpacks, but these people are saying they're extraterrestrial crafts, light. There's been some injuries as well. There's a video floating around of a guy being pulled out of a river with his face peeled off. Some of these Peruvian villagers are calling them I can't remember if it's the face peelers or the skin peelers. I can't remember. I think it's the face peelers. Now I sent all of this to you, Ted, and you had an interesting reaction to it. So let's go from there.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind when I read about or look at a video clip about the Peruvian incident is conversations that Barbara Bartlett and I had numerous times in the past when we would learn about a certain area on our planet that's having heavy UFO sightings and people reporting abductions. And Barbara called this a UFO flap. And they appear periodically in different places on the planet. And what we came to realize probably, I don't know for sure, but probably what's going on, this is an area where they're doing a harvest. And when they harvest, they want as much fear and emotion out of it as they can possibly get because, for whatever reasons, they feed on this energy created in fear. And the more hysterical these people can become, the more of that negative energy there they can siphon off and they harvest it and they use it for, I don't know, different reasons, but I do know that from my own experiences, I believe that they illuminated some of their small crafts with this lighting from this energy. This
Okay.
energy actually had a glow to it if they had enough of it.
Right.
So, uh, going back to this flap in Peru, I feel that more than likely this is what's happening. Of course, the authorities can't do anything about it. We don't have any weapons or anything that we're aware of that any of our governments have that can combat this type of assault. And so what's happening, people, it's mainly, and look at the behavior of when this is happening. It's primarily going on in the middle of the night when people are trying to sleep. Doesn't that tell you, all you abductees listening out there, you're always taken in the middle of the night when you're the most vulnerable? You're asleep, the point of least resistance that they can have over you. They have more control. So they're doing this to these people. And then the people coming back hysterical, vague memories of what they've been experiencing or seeing, and the whole village there is on the point of hysterics, I'm sure. I would be too. I get hysterical just thinking about all this sometimes
Yeah, yeah,
because of
yeah.
what all happened to me.
As we'll get
But,
into
but at
later.
any rate, this is what's going on. As far as the peeling of the face on this man on the river, I don't know enough about that to say this is what the aliens did, or if some piranhas got a hold of him while he was swimming. I don't know, but it's possible they did it to him, but it's not something I'm familiar with. But the abductions going on in the middle of the night and the hysterics created from this are very familiar.
Yeah. Do you think this could be like a land grab by them? Like they're moving into the area and also maybe setting up a base or something?
Well, those are thoughts that I was going to share also. You're reading my mind. Uh, they may be creating a new base in that area for some reason. Uh, we don't know how often they create new bases or the reasoning behind this, whether they feel they don't have enough. But the population, the human population on our planet is exploding. So as billions or more created all the time, they may need more bases to do the mass harvesting.
Actually, that's interesting what you're talking about population because they say by 2035 the majority of Europe, America, and China's population is going to be, or at least for Europe and America, it's something like over 40% is going to be over 65. China is a bit worse. So
Sure.
maybe the reason is that they're noticing this population trend and they're shifting to a more populated area.
Well, uh,
That's just one possible reason why they're doing this.
we are an ever-changing species, we humans, and life on our planet is an ever-changing process. So I would think that these so-called caretakers are also ever-changing in the way they do things. So because it's been a certain pattern for many years doesn't mean that it won't shift and change somewhat as we move forward.
Yeah,
So we need to think reasonably about why it's happening and is it different from years ago from what we know.
yeah. A lot of publicity around it as well, which is unusual for them. Usually, they don't like to be in the newspapers. So, what do you think is going on there? Is it just this fear aspect, and it just happened to leak out?
Well, I
Now,
mean,
we're talking about a remote area here.
well, we are, but also you got to look at the ever-changing process I just mentioned. Uh, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, uh, the media didn't pay that much attention to this because it wasn't big news. But look what's been going on in Congress in Washington this summer.
Yeah,
Uh, it's news now all over the world. People are becoming interested all over the world. So some couple of villagers report what's going on, and the media gets a hold of it, and and there's a frenzy of newspaper reporters and investigators trying to get in there now to get the scoop.
yeah, yeah,
So I contribute that to it more than I do. I don't think the aliens are trying to draw attention to themselves. I think that they have just become more exposed in their behavior because of our learning process.
okay. Do you think technology has a lot to do with that as well? Like all you have to do is record something on your phone and then upload it to Reddit, and then suddenly a million people see it.
Well, uh,
Let me
people
ask it
have
this way.
okay, go ahead.
Let me ask it this way. Are you seeing more UFO videos now than what you were seeing 30 years ago?
Of
I mean,
course.
Carla and Barbara must have,
With cell phones in your hand, you can video something almost anytime 24/7 now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You couldn't do that a few years ago.
But I often wonder if this uptick in UFO sightings isn't just because our technology is better, if it's just always been the same level.
That's a good point. I
Yeah,
can't answer that. I
yeah,
don't know. I think this has been going on for centuries. I think it was on a smaller scale hundreds of years ago because the population was smaller. That there wasn't an area to harvest. But now we're into the billions and trillions of people, and they can harvest so much more. I mean, the garden is so much bigger.
yeah, it is.
So that brings out more activity there, and then the exposure of people like myself who have up started coming forward and actually talking about what's happened and what we think it means. You didn't get that years ago. It's one of the reasons I stayed quiet as many years as I did, because I didn't want to be in the nut house, and I'm not far from it now.